Happy Friday and welcome to Overnight Defense. I'm Rebecca Keel, and here's your nightly guide to the latest developments at the Pentagon, on Capitol Hill and beyond. The top line: about a month and a half after the Singapore summit and on the 65th anniversary of the signing of the Korean War armistice, North Korea has returned 55 cases carrying the remains of U.S. troops to American custody. The White House announced Thursday night, Friday morning in Korea, that a U.S. military cargo plane left Wonsan, North Korea, carrying the small caskets with remains believed to be U.S. service members who were killed in the Korean War. The Air Force C-17 landed in Osan Air Base, South Korea, at about 11 a.m. local time, whereupon a dignified transfer ceremony was held. Trump thanks Kim. In remarks at the White House, President Trump, Donald John Trump Clinton maxes out to 19 Democratic House candidates. Tucker Carlson slams immigrant lawyer as citizen of country controlled by conquistadors. Trump highlights praise from judge on reuniting families his administration divided more. Thank North Korean leader Kim Jong-un for fulfilling a promise he made at their June summit. I want to thank Chairman Kim for keeping his word, the president said. We have many others coming, but I want to thank Chairman Kim in front of the media for fulfilling a promise he made to me. And I'm sure he will continue to fulfill that promise as they search and search and search. The return of Korean War remains was one of the pledges in the two leaders' joint statement from Singapore. The remains of about 5,300 U.S. service members from the war are believed to still be in North Korea. What's next? A formal repatriation ceremony is scheduled for 5 p.m. Wednesday local time at Osan. It was a successful mission following extensive coordination, Gen. Vincent Brooks, commander of U.S. Forces Korea, said in a statement. Now, we will prepare to honor our fallen before they continue on their journey home. After the ceremony, the remains will be flown to Hawaii for forensic testing to confirm their identities. Trump said Friday that Vice President Pence will greet families of soldiers killed in the Korean War when the flight from South Korea arrives. As for future recovery efforts, Defense Secretary James Norman Mattis, Trump says he would meet with Iran's leaders without preconditions 12 times. Trump surprised the Pentagon overnight defense. North Korea returns remains of U.S. war dead. Putin invites Trump to Moscow. Mattis denies U.S. planning missile strike on Iran. Moore said Friday that it is certainly under consideration to have U.S. military teams go into North Korea to look for more remains. From Russia with love, Trump has an invitation to visit Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Friday, "We are ready for such meetings. We are ready to invite President Trump to Moscow. He has this invitation already and I told him about it," Putin said at the BRICS summit in Johannesburg. Still, Putin added that there has to be necessary conditions for the meeting to take place. Trump open to it. The White House responded to Putin's comments by saying Trump is open to visiting Moscow, but only if he receives an official invitation from Russian President Vladimir Putin. He is open to visiting Moscow upon receiving a formal invitation, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders said in a statement. Sanders added that Trump looks forward to having President Putin to Washington after the first of the year. Here or there, this all comes after Trump initially invited Putin to visit Washington, D.C., in the fall to follow up on the Helsinki summit. But Putin did not immediately accept that invitation. After the Kremlin appeared cool to the idea of Putin visiting the White House, the Trump administration backed off that plan. Instead, National Security Advisor John Bolton announced Trump believes his next meeting with Putin should occur next year. Bolton blamed the delay on the special counsel probe into Russia's election interference, which he referred to as the Russia witch hunt. Mattis speaks, a day after a Politico report on the Pentagon's increasing reticence to talk with the press. Mattis met with reporters not once, but twice Friday. First, he spoke with reporters outside the Pentagon ahead of his meeting with Oman's foreign minister. Later, he went down to talk to reporters in the press bullpen in one of his signature and scheduled off-camera gaggles. On Helsinki, Mattis said there have been no policy changes as a result of Trump and Putin summit in Helsinki, adding he was briefed almost immediately after it. I have talked immediately after the Helsinki summit. Both the White House Chief of Staff and National Security Advisor called me. I wouldn't say immediately, but as soon as they got free, he said. There have been no policy changes that have come out of it. He also confirmed reports that he is considering meeting with his Russian counterpart, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. I am considering meeting with my counterpart, but there's been no decision, Mattis said. He also sought to assure the United States is taking steps to defend against election interference, but declined to cite specific examples. Rest assured there are actions underway to protect our elections or to expose any by anybody, external efforts to influence the American public, Mattis said. But I'm not going to go into any details on Iran. Mattis dismissed as fiction an Australian news report that said officials from that country believe the United States is prepared to strike Iran. I have no idea where the Australian news people got that information, Mattis said. I'm confident it is not something that's being considered right now, and I think it's frankly, it's fiction. Mattis later added that the United States has not adopted a policy of regime change or collapse toward Iran. There's none that's been instituted, he said. We need them to change their behavior on a number of threats that they can pose with their military, with their secret services, with their surrogates and with their proxies. On tap for Monday, former Air Force Secretary Deborah Lee James will discuss the pros and cons of creating a Space Force at 10 a.m. at the Brookings Institution, https://brook.gs/2m-Jessamy-The Hill, former Navy Secretary, Trump's transgender ban, dumbest government policy. The Hill, Trump asked Israel to release alleged Hamas smuggler in prisoner swap with Turkey, report Associated Press. Analysis, return of remains good, but easy, move for and Korea. Reuters, North Korea confirms new military chief of staff roll call. Pentagon, gender gap persists in Trump era even as women rise in industry.